Hey, it's Sheila here. Sorry that I'm a little late because you more than met my request to have 50 likes. And I thought I could just put one line out in a response on Facebook, but seriously, it wouldn't explain what I wanted to share with you. And I'm timing myself that this is 5 minutes long. And I ask you to indulge and to, in fact, just listen for 5 minutes. I'm taking a lot of this from what I train in our new consultant calls, our promote to TC calls, our promote to sales leader calls. And so I want you to just have that mindset for a quick moment so that you can see how I believe this might help change the outcome for all of the consultants doing parties, particularly in the fall selling season, which is high gift giving time, right? But I think it works year round. So let me take you back. Do you remember where you were and what you were doing when you first learned about Norwex? I'm going to say that for 90% of you listening to this, you were at a party. Oh, it might have been called a get together, a coffee chat. Nonetheless, it was a social scene, someone's home, kitchen table. There you were sitting around and learning about Norwex. Now, some of you were at a Facebook party. Get that? Some of you at a trade show, others personal website of somebody else, and 1% of you discovered Norwex all on your own. Wonderful. But 90% of you were probably at a party. And do you remember how you first felt when you first saw the Norwex products, your first reaction? I'm going to suggest 99% of you were like, wow, show me that again. It's got to be magic. What's the deal with this? Incredible. I think you were impressed. But beyond that, you were inspired to learn more about, were chemicals really something that had a place in our home? And was Norwex the company that was actually going to do something about it? That's what I think. Now, there might have been one or two skeptics in the crowd, and there always are, and that's wonderful. It challenges us to be on our game, doesn't it? Because what we really do is create curiosity about what is the big deal around chemicals in the home. So you were impressed. And yet, here you are today, listening to this, a senior Norwex leader, or in other circumstances, you're a Norwex consultant starting with us, or an emerging leader. And yet I want to remind you where you were and what you were doing when you first learned about Norwex, and your response when you first saw the products. Because something happened. You took your Norwex experience from being a customer, a user of the product, to perhaps a host, sharing with a few close friends and family. And yet you wanted to get involved. You became a Norwex consultant, and something about that became important to you. Why am I reminding you of your experiences, taking you back to the beginning? Because sometimes it's helpful to understand our current present situation based on our own personal history. You see, I believe that most of you journeyed through a variety of experiences. The first one being someone who was made aware of Norwex, who then made a purchase and wanted to use the product and so became a customer, the customer experience. And perhaps you hosted and enjoyed the host experience. And yet it was the experience, the one we don't really talk about, becoming involved, being recruited, joining, being a Norwex consultant. And I liken it to the first steps of your Norwex leadership is really not unlike the first steps you took when you became a Norwex consultant. In fact, before skill even got into it or knowledge, belief was probably the first feeling you identified with. Faith. Isn't that what belief is? Because you believed in the Norwex products, you believed in the Norwex mission, and you believed in the Norwex opportunity. And yet, isn't that the same experience for our customers? That they believed in the products, the mission, and the opportunity? And so as consultants, you were looking for people with whom you could share this enthusiasm with. You were looking for customers, lots of them. You were looking for some hosts, absolutely, get those parties booked. And maybe not with intention. You were looking at Norwex consultants, any potential. And probably it was at the point you became intentional about looking for Norwex consultants that you truly understood that each one of us journeyed through the experience of a customer, a host perhaps, and finally as a Norwex consultant. And we were able to identify that if that was our experience, it would be the same experience for many of our customers. As team coordinators and above, you became even more intentional with your belief because your confidence built. And what happens when those two come together, belief with confidence, the outcome of the conversations changed. When you were talking with potential customers, but more importantly, potential Norwex consultants. Because as your journey continued with a consistent party schedule and that increased intention as a result of that awareness, I call it your point of position changed with your conversations and they started evolving. And we used things like our power statement. Here it is. And we discovered that our power statement becomes our power invitation. It truly is how we position our excitement, our passion, and how we position the experience that we are inviting others to have. So putting it all together, I often remind consultants, and although we use the words your 3-service or 3-question close, I don't really use those words when I describe it because I tend to say that by offering the different level of Norwex experiences to all your guests, you then are assured that you've met everybody where they're at. Many have come to the party in hopes of buying Norwex once they saw it. And so they're looking at the customer experience and you have order forms as your prop. And yet others during that party started formulating, they didn't even know it yet. They didn't know to call it a guest list. They just knew that there were people on top of their mind that they wanted to share this with right away. And so the experience of hosting someone who shares Norwex with others was an experience that they ended up searching for. And yet if we go back to remember our beginning and the stages that we walked through, we can't help but be mindful that yet there are others for the experience. They didn't know it at the time, that once they saw Norwex, heard about the mission, heard of the journey of the consultant, they didn't know to use the word recruit or join or sign up or enroll. They just knew they wanted to get involved. Involved in a bigger way than a customer. Involved in a bigger way than a host. So what is that one line that opens up this conversation for everybody? When you look at somebody who's sitting down with you one-on-one and you say to them, were you able to get everything tonight at the party for yourself or others you know? Think about it for a moment. I'm sure some of you are like, are you kidding me? You made us wait 5 hours for this? Well, I want it to be quicker. But yes, I think it's worth it. That when you look at this question, aside from the thank you for coming, I appreciate your order. Were you able to get everything tonight at the party for yourself and others you know? What's the likely answer? For now, yes. Or no, I didn't. Or I think so. It allows the consultant to take a look at the order form, but more importantly say, you know, I'm thinking about already your love for the Norwex product. And you know, I'm wondering if something that you might have already started is perhaps a guest list of people that you would like to let them know about Norwex, and that maybe getting a date for a party penciled in might be something else you might be interested in. Or, you know, not being able to get everything tonight at the party and having a wish list for future parties or future purchases, it makes me want to make sure that I mention to you that there are other experiences that can bring you that. Sharing Norwex with others as a host gives you a lot of instant free product, usually our top sellers, the same things that are on your wish list. But the experience of doing what I do gives you everything about Norwex, the full experience. And I wondered if perhaps you and I could even just set up a quick chat. Now, I think maybe this takes a little more work, as we go through. But what I like to do is, instead of having our consultants sit there, because this could be the typical scenario. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your order. It's $101. Now, would you like to take a look at my receipts? Well, what happens when she says no? Do you really think you're going to ask her if she'd like information on the business to take it home? And really, what are those words, information about the business? She doesn't even know what the business is, right? So it's hard to make that transition. And I find that if we create the curiosity about asking the guest to discover or select the experience level she wants, then I think the outcome is stronger, more positive. So if someone says, no, actually, I think I'll just stick with my shopping list and I'll buy it at another time. Well, that's fine. You've put the host offer out there, and you can simply say, makes good sense. And how about I keep in touch with you so that if those become a sale item before the next get-together, I can let you know. But speaking of get-togethers, let's hope that one of the gals here tonight wants us to regroup and meet again in about 6 weeks. Wouldn't that be perfect? I just think that we can help our consultants understand the full potential of each and every person that they're in front of each month by helping them generate great conversations. So that was the big deal. And yet I also wanted to leave you with another big deal. And actually, this is from Sarah Van Hardingsveld, a senior leader in Ontario. When I spent some of my days at Norwex as a regional sales manager in Canada, we had a leader meeting, and Sarah came up with what she called her power line. And I wanted to share it with you. That sometimes we don't have the luxury of time. We don't have the luxury of thinking about the words for our conversation, and yet we want to seize the moment. And having a power line would be amazing if, wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be fabulous? Whatever the words are, where we can say to someone, wouldn't it be crazy if tonight you saw what I was doing and something spoke to you and you'd like to join me? Wouldn't it be amazing if you could gather a few friends and family like our host did, and you and I could partner together to further the Safe Haven mission? Sometimes I think for time, parking lot, school, kids, sporting events, neighbors passing by in the street, somebody asks us what we're doing, and we want to be able to tell them everything, but we know we don't have that time. And I really don't like the words elevator speech or 30-second commercial. Crum, why do we have PVRs? Because we don't want to watch commercials. Well, if we don't want to watch them, what makes us think anyone wants to listen to them? I think we need to have compelling conversations, meet people where they're at. So in closing, this was less than 5 minutes, and I do hope it helps, and I hope it was worth waiting for. Bye for now.